back to Voices on the Hill. I'm your host, Corey King, and I'm here with women's head coach, Heather Davis. Heather, it is an honor and a privilege to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me. Just, it's a little rainy outside right now, but, it's a good day today.
It is a good day. I can never really deal with the rain. It's almost like a melancholy feel, but you and your presence and your persona and your personality always seems to, eliminate that. I mean, I'm in my office today just trying to get some work done. But whenever you come in, it just brightens up my day, and I appreciate that. Coach, first year at RSU, how has this been for you so far as the women's head coach?
It's been really fun. Coming into this, I was a little shaky. I was a little nervous about how everything was gonna go, but whenever I got here, administration, welcomed me with open arms. Because as you say, my personality is very bright and it's very loud. And so they're getting used to me still, I think, a little bit, but it's been a fun process. And then getting to get to know all the kids, and getting their personalities and how they play basketball and what they want to do after college has just been really, really fun. And then them getting to know me as well, seeing, my coach side where we're serious, that kind of stuff. But then also I like to have fun with them, because, I think life is would not be anything without laughter. And so like that's one thing that I love to do is I love to make people laugh, even if it makes me look crazy or whatever. I don't care. If they're laughing at me more than with me, that's okay. Just want to make sure that they're having a good time and enjoying this time in their life, at college.
Well, as they say, with laughter, if you laugh every day, it adds 7 years onto your life. I don't know if that's scientifically proven or not, but I am a person that wholeheartedly believes in laughter and being able to bring joy into a room, and from one loud person to another loud person. It's nice to have another energetic personality within the office, in athletics, because you need these different types of personalities to make a well-rounded group. And I think that you bring such a lively spirit, not only to your own team but to other teams. And something that I definitely respect about you is your presence with other teams, and going to other sporting events. Tell us about being a resource to these other student athletes at RSU.
Yeah, well, it actually really started, at a college that I was at UCO, and I actually taught a class. And so I taught theory of coaching basketball, and that was a way for me to, one, there was some athletes in there, but then there was also regular students. And so then having these athletes in the class, getting to know them because they're in my class 3 days a week, and then being able to go to their sporting events and support them, and they see me there. So that's kind of how it started at first. And then at SWASU, I also taught, so it's kind of like the same thing, but more of a general body student for that one because it was a health class, so everybody had to take it, and it wasn't like an elective or anything like that. So when I came here, I knew I wasn't going to be teaching. So I had to figure out a way to really make sure that I stay involved, because that's the thing, like they're going to be some of our kids' biggest supporters. And so making sure they feel seen and known and supported, I think, is important. And then they'll most likely reciprocate that back to us and back to our team. And so just making sure I'm an extension of their coaching staff if they need anything, that kind of thing. They're more than welcome to come see me because I have my specific team, but we're an RSU family. And so we got to be there for all the athletes whenever they need.
And I totally agree, I echo that. I appreciate when student athletes come into my office and sit and talk about getting things off their chest and what they got going on in their lives. We were once student athletes. I'm a little bit closer. It is what it is.
Thanks for that.
But you're still a baller. We played in the Claremore. What was the event called when we were out and playing in the street?
Yes.
It wasn't pretty, but yeah.
No, well, the conditions weren't great.
playing on the blacktop really brought me back to my youthful days of playing in my front yard, but I was expecting an actual basketball court.
Yeah, it was not the ideal scenario. Even them willing in that the goal,
The
and then it had tires stacked on the back of it so it wouldn't fall over. I mean, it was an experience for sure. I feel like we are going to be more prepared
yes.
next year.
Oh, we're gonna win the thing.
So that is the good thing, is we're going to be way more prepared.
Yeah, I was, I'm a competitive human being. Like, I do not like losing, and the fact that we lost first round and we had four players, three collegiate, basketball players and a football player, and we lost first round. Yeah, I wasn't.
But now, hold on, you're just throwing that out there. But the team that we lost to won the whole thing.
This is true.
So
I didn't know that.
It's not like we just lost to somebody.
fair.
Like that, I feel like was actually the first round was actually the championship in my mind.
The guy that I was guarding was a pretty solid player. Some good post
He
moves.
was.
Yeah, some pretty good post moves, post fade.
He had a little Dirk in
Yeah, a
him.
little dark in him. He was giving me some work. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
He
Game
was.
respects game, but we gonna let it go. I don't want to get all angry and flustered on camera about us losing. But back to RSU and you coaching. You talked about teaching a coaching philosophy class. What things do you bring into your own philosophy for you as a personal coach? How do you want your girls to play? How do you want your your program to be culturally wise and X's and O's?
Yeah, I mean there's a little bit of everything. Cultural wise, we got to be a family. I'm not gonna I don't want any cancers, is what you kind of call them, on the team. We're gonna be a family. Not everybody's going to get the same amount of playing time, and people have to understand that, and they have to see that. And so that's one thing that, kids really have to get used to, but that's something that we have to work through. And the one thing that I want people to say whenever they watch my team play is they play hard. There's no lack of effort. And I want to make sure that we can guard. Like we got to be able to guard people to be able to be in games. And so that's really important that we focus. I think when I came here, we started on the defensive end. I didn't really put in any offense until a little bit later. And so just making sure that we're on the defensive end and hounding people and causing problems for them is big for me. And then offensively, I'm going to play to my players' strengths. And so right now we have some good post players, and that's why we run high-low action. And so just trying to play and put them in a position to be successful is my goal. But, I want to be out in the community. I want people to come talk to us and, be approachable and different stuff like that. We actually went to an elementary school this morning and had a good time reading and then playing in PE, played a game and different stuff like that. And so that stuff, sometimes they're girls. I'm sure the girls were mad that I made them wake up a little early, right? But then we went and they had fun. And after they're like, Coach, thanks for taking us. And I was like, you're welcome. I knew you would eventually like it. Like I knew y'all weren't happy I made you wake up early, but they really, really enjoyed it. And then, they feel wanted and they feel loved and like a superstar. And so that kind of stuff is big for us. And I think just helping the community get in and then getting the community to our games.
And community outreach is so important, something that RSU takes, great pride in. But your team, is going above and beyond. We do have the competition that we run within our athletic department between the teams on who has the most community service engagement. And I know that you guys are, up there at the leaderboard. I don't quite know all the details. That's a Justin Noble product, but it is so important for these student athletes to put themselves out there in the community because of how much they do for us that we don't see. I remember how much, community service that I took part in when I was playing, and even what I do now with, my fraternity that I'm a part of. It's so important to be able to learn those qualities early in life, that it's all about moving backward, giving backwards. Because think about how far you've come, if you didn't have somebody giving back to you, where'd you be where you're at? And so I appreciate you, instilling that into your women players, because that's so vital. But I do want to talk about your defense. Something that, I was blessed to be a graduate assistant coaching women's basketball for a bit of time. Your guys' defense is phenomenal. You guys are able to hold teams to a low shooting percentage, and you have a great rim protector in Trinity Jackson, and a really good on ball defender and Eliza. Talk about those two pieces and how they help keep these teams shooting at a low percentage.
Yeah, with Eliza, I mean, usually she's on the point guard or the best player, or Kaya's on the best player, depending on where what position their best player is at. And so I think it all starts with Eliza. She starts, and it's hard not to play hard when she's guarding the ball so well and working her tail off. And so it's contagious. And that's what I told her. I said, if you're not going to work hard, then the team's not going to work hard. I said, you on the defensive end have to set the tone for the entire team. And that's what she tries to do. And she does it really well. And so just having her, and then even Kaya. I mean, Kaya has a ton of steals as well, but she's a little bit more sneaky. So Eliza does it with her hard work and her effort and all of that. Kaya just is almost in the right place at the right time, and her arms are a lot longer than you think.
Steals.
And so she just gets those touches and those steals when you don't even think it's going to happen.
No.
And so having those two has been awesome. And then obviously Alasia, she can guard a guard or a post, really. And so having her being able to do both creates a little bit of some chaos, and then Trin, obviously at the rim, she's a tough defender, and she's tall and she goes straight up. She gets a couple fouls on her, but she works hard, and so just being able to funnel that into them has been awesome. And then you got some people that come off the bench that are super solid as well, especially freshman Destiny. She's came in and she's helped us so much. I mean, she's in there for defense, and now she's starting to find her, groove offensively. So it's really helped.
It's it's so awesome, and I appreciate from a person that played defense in college, being able to see that intensity and that physicality. What I'm saying, that that can be part of a curve. For some women athletes of wanting to be physical and being able to own your space, and that was something that when I was coaching, that was the thing that I was teaching. They were like, you got to go and show them how to box out, how to correctly create space and play through contact. And I'm happy that to see that within your team, and it's also been a blessing that you guys opened up your doors for me to come in and help out whenever I can. Got to do a little post workout with you guys one time, and you have phenomenal players. As you kind of progress into your this is your first head coaching position, what do you foresee for yourself as you evolve as a coach, and things that you want to work on and grow as a head coach?
Oh, I mean, there's tons of things that I can work on, just like all the kids that have things to work on. So just getting better at doing different stuff in practice, or approaching games different, and then recruiting. Recruiting is a big part of being successful. You're going to be able to get some players, but are the players going to be good enough? And so that's the one thing that I want to make sure as a head coach that I do really well. I feel like as an assistant, I was a pretty good recruiter, and getting people on campus and trying to get them to come to school and everything, because I'm a big relationship person. And so doing that's like one of the biggest things on my list. I want to make sure as a head coach that I continue to do that and don't lose track of forgetting that stuff, because it is easy to. That now that I'm a head coach, so many things are thrown on my table and my list goes on, but I have to make sure, like, no matter what, recruiting is the biggest key for me to be successful here.
And we're talking about recruiting, and recruiting has evolved so much from the time that you've played, I played, this transfer portal, collegiate free agency. Tell us about how you've had to adapt as a coach to the transfer portal and how things work? How's it, affected your recruiting? A lot of people are some people are more lean towards the JUCO. Some people more lean more towards a D1 bounce back. You got to recruit your freshmen coming in. So how's that? All these different factors are all included in this recruiting process. How do you balance and find your own flavor in ingredients to make what you're cook up the team that you are ahead of?
I don't have that answer yet because we're still navigating that. It's a hard situation trying to figure out exactly the perfect way. I've known people that have gone straight transfer portal. I've known people that try to just get freshmen in, or just JUCOs. Like I've seen it all, but for me, I feel like it has to be a happy medium. So I think it has to be a mixture. I feel like you cannot do one or the other. You need to have some freshmen to build, and then you need to have experience. And so trying to find that mixture is going to be the first thing that we figure out because, we have 4 seniors right now, and they're all post players. Well, I don't feel like it's going to benefit us if I go get 4 freshman post players, right? So I need to get a mixture within that. And so that's going to be like our first process of seeing that we have to do that mixture. At the school I was at last year, we had to get 9 new kids, and we got them of a mixture from D1s and JUCOs, and it was a whole mixture, and so which that can be stressful because with freshmen, like we've signed 3 early, right? So I know those spots are taken. And then whenever you're thinking the transfer portal or JUCO kids, that doesn't happen until second semester. So I'm sitting on a couple scholarships that I'm like, all right, you have to hope and pray and that you're going to get somebody second semester because obviously there's a chance that you don't, so it's kind of a stressful game now that with the transfer portal because, you could get it before the transfer portal, you would sign 5 or 6 early and you'd be done. Right. And then, but now all the recruiting is starting to move back and starting to happen later and then the second semester, just because of the transfer portal and JUCO kids, and it's been a process, and I think it still is. I think more changes are going to happen, and it's definitely changed the game for players and for coaches. I do feel bad. We're starting to get the 5th-year seniors out. But I feel like it has been hard on some of the high school kids and even JUCO kids as well, because as a coach, you decide, okay, do I want a freshman that has no experience or a D1 transfer that has experience? Or do I want a JUCO kid that has JUCO experience but no D2 experience, and then I have this kid that has D2 or D1 experience?
Right.
So then you got to figure out which one's best for you and which one you want to go with. So it's just a lot of gaming and trying to figure out the system.
And, with that, there are also kids that are going into the portal who are not finding homes either. And that's, even more, even harder because everybody's so limited with scholarships. Like you said, COVID was we're finally, I think, next year will be the next year where we'll finally not have that issue. I was a kid that faced that. We had kids, come back, as super seniors, and some of us were super, super seniors. And so, but then obviously it delays the development of the kids that are supposed to be playing because it's a rotation of like you redshirt, you get a little bit of playing time, junior, senior, you play. But if you stop that process, we keep the seniors and they stay a year. Now that train doesn't keep moving unless if they are elite athlete. And like you said, there has to be that mixed feel of teams. All great teams that you look at. I'm an NBA guy, so the teams that you're looking at with them, there's a balance between old veterans. You got, and then you have your star players, and you have the youthful, guys that are putting in, quality minutes when you need them to. So that's the same thing with your team, which, you're bringing in transfers. These are people that you're, expecting to play right away. But then you have to have somebody in the back of the stove developing, cooking, so that when they leave, you have somebody stepping into their role and into their shoes. And so, I think that is such a vital way to look at the situation, because it's so complicated and there's so many different
Yeah.
different
then-
ways to play the game.
And then you also have to think about, okay, so now why were they in the transfer portal? So then you got to get the backstory
Yep.
of
Gotta become a detective for a second.
yeah, you have to become a detective. You have to ask, you can't just ask one person because there's going to be different sides to everything.
Yep.
Like, what was the real reason that they're in the transfer portal? And so that's a whole nother thing, especially with bringing in those kind of kids. Like, are you bringing in someone that there's a reason why they were in the transfer portal? You know what I mean? Is this a good fit for your team? Can they help you? Maybe they do help you on the court, but are they going to help you off the court with your culture and that kind of stuff? And so you really do have to kind of become a detective to figure out what kind of kid you're bringing in.
Right. Because at the end of the day, everything is about relationships. It's about who being able to call a coach. All right, give me the lowdown on what's going on here. But with the transfer portal being such a huge change for college athletics, we have another thing on the opposite hand that NCAA just did a double whammy for us. They did the transfer portal and they did the NIL at the same exact time. Talk about what if you were to have that during the time when you played, how would that have benefited you? What things would you would have tried to do to maximize the name of Heather Davis?
I think it's such a new thing, and it's not huge at our level, which it does happen at our level, but I have no idea how those Division I schools do it. I mean, it's amazing of just the process and the amount of money that some of those people are making.
Millions.
Like millions.
Millions.
And I think it was it Utah football team that got all trucks?
Trucks.
Like, could you imagine?
All the scholarship players.
Could you imagine that?
Yes.
Like, there's no way that I would even thought about that.
Right.
I mean, that's just not something that we thought about back then. We're just like, yeah, we got our scholarship. We got what we got. Let's go.
Right.
Like, I'm getting my education for free. So, I mean, I felt like, they're paying me.
Right.
And so it's just, I don't know how much I would have taken advantage of it. I'm sure I would have, but I really just don't know because I wasn't in that time. And I don't know how I would have done it and if I would have done it because, a lot of people at our level don't do it. But some people do. And so I just do not envy those D1s because you got to think, I mean, now kids aren't just choosing for the program. Now you have to make sure you have good NIL deals.
Money coming in.
Like, you have to make sure you have these for these kids. No, thank you. I'm going to wipe my hands with that one. Nope.
It's so crazy that you say that because the Nebraska football coach said it best, Matt Rule. He was like, in order to get a real good quarterback out of transfer portal, we're talking about $1.2 million.
Yeah.
To get this kid to come here. That when did college athletics become in order to get a kid, I have $1.2 million to make sure I get a good quarterback. Because if you look at the transfer portal right now, this is just football. There's 1,160 kids or something like that, and like 100 of them are like scholarship quarterbacks. That is so many moving pieces. Like, I think it's Wake Forest has 3 of their scholarship kids, quarterbacks, leaving. Where are they all going to find jobs at? Like where are they going? Where is that money, coming from? I think that's just super fascinating. And I want to bring up the point of what you talked about, that it's not big at our level. But I don't think it's big at our level yet. I think at some point, some teams are going to figure it out. The big schools who are winning national championships on a fairly consistent basis. The Ferris States with football, and the Northwest Missouri State, in the MIAA are going to be able to start finding more and more money. How do you think that will affect recruiting, the balance of the conference? Do you think it's good for Division II? Tell us this about your your thought processes regarding um, money coming into Division II.
I don't like it. And the only reason why I don't, like, I understand why they do it and why they did it. But I don't like it because now people, like I said earlier, people aren't choosing to play for a university or for a specific team. They're choosing to play for money. And you know, especially with parents nowadays, we're gonna want the kids to take the offer that has the more money, so they don't have to pay for anything, you know. And that's just it. You know, I mean, I've even lost kids because a school just gave them a couple extra grand more than I did. You know what I mean? And so, like, then that's just a couple of grand, and that's just scholarship money.
Right.
But parents and kids now, with it being so, you know, much, they're thinking about that. And so I don't like it because I think it's going to cause a way bigger gap for the schools that can afford it and the schools that can't afford it. It's going to cause a huge gap, and it's just going to be a whole nother thing of, you know, moving somebody's level playing field up and someone's down. And, you know, I just think that's going to be really rough on some schools and some coaches. And I think with this whole thing, I feel like coaches, you know, career life is going to start going down.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be coaching as long. Or they're just going to get out of it. And I mean, I've already seen a lot of coaches get out of it because they don't want to deal with the kind of stuff.
Right.
And you're starting to see some of the older coaches retire because they don't want to deal with it.
Right.
So it's definitely complicated a whole lot of things and made it more professional than I would like, for sure.
It is very interesting to see that is where we're moving towards in this athletic arena. It was less of a job when we got in, but we've definitely moved past that. We are at a job like status for these student athletes. So I'm curious to see how this evolves and change over the next 10 15 years. But back to the just coaching in general. You've had the privilege to coach with two phenomenal coaches that have helped you. Talk about your coaching tree of people who have influenced you onto where you're at now.
Man, I mean, it goes from a long time ago, from AAU days, Myron Milton, and then and then it just goes up from there. My high school coach Angelique Kilman. And then played for Guy Hardacre, and then I coached with Guy Hardacre, and then Jeff Zinn. I mean, it's just, I've had a ton of people who have won some basketball games, a lot of basketball games. And so just being able to have them in my corner and a phone call away if I have any questions or if I need anything. I reached out to Hardacre the other day about a play that we used to run, and I thought it was gonna work, and so we went over it and everything like that. And so that kind of stuff is fun to me. But just having them and learning from them is what made me ready, or at least feel like I was ready for a head coaching position. I don't know how ready everyone is before you get it, but I felt like I was as ready as I was gonna be to take a position, and that's why I started being on the lookout and starting applying for jobs and different stuff like that. So just having them, it's been amazing. Just learning from them and the whole process, and then especially with Coach Hardacre and Coach Zinn, because I think I've said this before, but they kind of have a different philosophy, and so learning both was really fun.
Right.
And trying to see how both styles are, and like defensive philosophies, offensive philosophies. So that's been really fun to kind of navigate of what I liked and what I didn't like of both.
And it is a real tough challenge trying to figure out these different pieces, because there's so many different ways, a lot of different ways to skin a cat. And you got to find your own little blend of, I want a little bit of this, I want a little bit of that to make up who I am, as a Heather Davis, coaching philosophy. But obviously, you started, in high school in Muskogee, Talk about how, what it's like to be so close to home and still in the home state and being able to coach at a place not too far away from home.
Yeah, I never, whenever you would ask me that in high school, I probably would have told you I'd never live in Oklahoma. But then I grew up and was around or whatever. I've had a couple opportunities outside of Oklahoma, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on it because I like being close to home. I like being here. I like Oklahoma. And so I love it now that this is the closest I've been to home since I left home. And so I actually haven't been as home as much as my mom would probably like. But I have been home a little bit more than normal. But then she also gives her the chance to make every home game.
Shout out Mama Davis.
Yes, so she makes every home game except she's not gonna be here on Monday. I told her she had to pass because I know she'd probably go crazy with all the Claremont kids.
But
So
I need Mama Davis there for,
I know.
for me. We
I
need our
know.
daily game chat about, what's going to transpire on the court. That's not okay.
I know.
I'm not okay with that.
She and I'm pretty sure she's probably gonna be watching it at work, on her phone. So she'll be there in spirit. But her being able to make every home game is fun to her. And then she can go there and back. Whenever I was at UCO, it was 2 hours away. So that's a little bit too far for her to go up and back in one day. So she would always have to stay the night. But here she can go up and back, and it's not a big deal at all. And so I think she's had a lot of fun doing that and being able to come up here and being this close. And, then also another wrinkle throws in is now, she's grandma to my dog. So last week when we were gone, she was with Katie was at grandma's house. And so she can take care of my dog when I'm gone. Because you hate asking people that to take care of her when you're gone because it's
Right.
your dog, your responsibility. So having a family member that can do that has been good, and she loves having her, and so I feel like that also helps her as well.
And just to shout out Katie as well.
Yes,
Fabulous dog.
thank you.
Remind us what the
breed is.
The breed is. That's
She's
the
a
word.
Canadian Eskimo dog cattle dog mix. She's about 50 pounds, big old white fluff ball, and she is just a doll. I realize that she's a really good dog but I don't realize it until you go and like hang out with other dogs, and you're like, man, I am lucky.
Yeah.
I watched a puppy, one of the assistant coaches' puppy while they were gone to Wichita their first weekend, and oh my gosh, I was like, I can't do a puppy.
This dog cutting up.
This dog is kind of crazy, but she was super sweet. It's just different because Katie's 12, so she's older. She doesn't really want to play a whole lot.
Right.
As long as you walk her, give her a ride, feed her, she's good.
Right.
She doesn't that as long as she has that. Now she has to have all those things. She has to have her walk and her ride every day, but as long as you give her that, she's not going to mess with you. If she comes up to you and you tell her to go lay down, she's going to go lay down. And a lot of dogs don't do that.
No, they don't.
So she's a good one.
I'm a fellow dog lover back at home, which I'm so excited to get back to home. Coming up here, we used to have 5. There's 4 dogs now. My mom has a teacup Yorkie, a Yorkie Doodle, and an old English. Nope, that's not a British Lab. And then my dad has the old English Bulldog.
Oh my god.
And so the two little ones, the little ankle biters,
Yeah.
are something else, just yipping and yapping. Every time I call home, they're barking their heads off. And you're just like,
They have to protect her.
from what are they gonna do?
The mailman might get her.
Yeah,
That's the one thing. My
Lord
dog,
forbid.
it's the funniest thing. First of all, when I got her, I don't think she barked for the first 3 months. So I never heard her bark. Now she barks, but she doesn't bark a whole lot. The only time she barks is at the mailman or like a UPS truck. And when I tell you, it's like war. It's like war. When she's on one of her walk, I can walk Katie actually off leash.
Yeah.
If I want to. But I have her on leash a lot of the main streets and stuff. But if there's a mail truck or a UPS truck that comes by, she will chase it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like she's like all about it. She's ready to go, and she uses her what I call her big girl voice, and she is going after it. But then any other car or truck or person, other dog, she pays no mind to. But it's something about the mailman that she just
They have ill intent. They got too much stuff in the back of the truck.
they come by too much. It's like they're stalking her. She's got to be ready.
You never know. You got to activate.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. So like those two little dogs, the lab really won't do anything, and the Old English Bulldog will do nothing. Like you could walk in the house unannounced. He'll get up, look at you, all right, and he'll come over there, and he is an avid butt scratcher. He loves his butt being scratched so much. Like he'll like start with his hand,
wiggles.
and then he'll like wiggle his way over there to get his butt. You like, bro, come on, man. Like you too big to be having your butt scratched. And then if you're sitting down, you got your legs kicked up. Y'all saw my toes? Look, I got some flexibility in my hamstring. Look at me. All right. He lays his head down. So I got, you know, if I'm wearing these khakis, he lays his big head down to get drool all over your leg. You'd be like, I know you wanna pet me.
Hey, it's all love.
Is it?
Drool and dog hair. It's just love. That's their way of showing affection to
Until I get the sniffles
you. I mean,
and I start to sneezing,
well,
then it's not love no more.
It's love.
That's hatred.
No.
That's
I got dog hair all over me right now.
Well,
it's just love.
well, bless your soul. Bless your soul. Well, speaking of animals, you have a lovely picture in your office of you noodling. And I had never seen a picture of somebody noodling before. So please, I know Oklahoma, this is common knowledge for y'all. Up north, in Minnesota, we don't do noodling. Noodling is not one of those things that we partake in. So please enlighten us on your noodling prowess, because you seem like you got this down pretty good by the size of that fish.
I don't know about that. So it's my brother's fault. My brother and his friends, they go noodling all summer. I mean, like whenever they go every week if they can.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a couple different ways you can do it. Obviously, you can go the brave way, where you just go stick your hand in a hole somewhere and just hope and plead that it's a catfish. Or, like they do, he has about 30 maybe, actually it probably could be more, spots. And they have those big iron tubs, bathtubs.
Okay.
That they've sunk down there, and they put holes in it. And so that's where the catfish go and mate and sleep and, you know, do all that. And so they have them, and they know exactly where every single one of them are. Okay. And so you go, and they know where you just go find the tub, and then you got to go check it. I did make the boys check it before I stuck my hand in there to make sure it was a catfish.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it wasn't a snapping turtle or a snake. I don't do those things. So made my brother go check it. But then after that, it's game on. You got to go down there and you hold your breath, and you got to put your hand in there and let the catfish bite you, and you grab its lip and you just pull it on out. And they're pretty strong. I mean, they fight you. You're going like this. My shoulder was pretty sore. Because that one was about 55 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was about 55 pounds, so that was a big one.
Hey, I don't know if y'all can see my face, but no, absolutely not. Am I gonna put my arm in a 55-pound fish's mouth?
Yeah.
To try to pull him out.
Oh, it's fun.
Try to like describe like the amount of fight. Like how long does it take you to get him?
Well, it depends on how good you got him and the hole size, and then how big it is, because you got to get it out of the hole. So mine was big, and I wasn't getting it down low enough, so I had to come up, take a breath, because I was about to lose air, but I didn't want to let the fish go.
Right.
And then I had to go back down and push it down and then pull it out. It probably took, I still have the video of it.
Yeah.
It probably took me 20 to 30 seconds to eventually get it out. because you got to find it, make sure it gets you, and then you got to get a good grip of it. And
Does
then
the bite hurt?
no, well, you can go barehanded, or you can put like they have gloves that you can put on.
Yeah.
Because their teeth, it's basically sandpaper. So if
Gotcha.
you don't wear a glove, you'll get scratched up.
Okay.
But I mean, they bite pretty good, and they hold on, and I mean, they're just thrashing around. And so, like I said, my shoulder was sore, and I only did 2 catfish
You only did 2?
because I wanted so once I did it, so it was my brother and some of his friends, and all their wives came. The girls had never done it before.
Right.
Well, I was gonna do it, so there was no question about
Yeah,
it,
duh.
right? And so once I did it, then they all wanted to try.
Right.
So I let them, we let them do their bathtubs and all of that. So it was a great time. Now that I'm closer, I'm excited to go again this summer because it's hard whenever you're a couple hours away.
Right.
Because they kind of do it on a whim, like, hey, let's go noodling today.
Oh,
So
it's pretty random.
yeah,
It's not a planned thing.
I mean, most of the time it's not planned. No, him and his friends kind of do what they want.
Okay. I don't know if I'm curious enough to go,
Oh no, you need to try it. If you're going, you're gonna try it. We can take you.
but I'm a terrible swimmer. And
You can touch.
I mean, I know I can touch, but like holding my breath.
Okay,
under
we're
the
there to
water.
help you.
Okay. All right. Well,
Like, whenever I went down on the second one, there was 2 fish in there.
okay.
So my brother had to go down with me too, and so he was down there with me and helping me. And they basically, if you get down there and you can't get him to bite you, you can't reach it, you come back up. Just make sure your feet are in the hole so it doesn't get out.
Right.
So you can take a couple of times.
Okay. All right, well,
It's a team effort.
maybe one day I'll see a video of the old Corey noodling.
Oh, we're gonna do it.
Oh man.
It's gonna be great.
Oh man. That'd be interesting. That'd be one interesting
You're gonna
experience.
love it. I didn't think I was gonna like it
But you are
after I
sold.
did it. Okay, so I lost my first fish. The first time I ever did it, I lost it. Like I got it up out of the hole, and then it thrashed so hard I just wasn't like ready, and
yeah.
it just ripped out of my hands.
Dang.
And so after that, my competitive self, I was like, oh
ain't
no,
losing again.
we're not doing that. Nope, we're gonna get one. And so then it becomes competitive, and so it's really fun.
Okay. All right. Look. All right. One of these days you're gonna have to get me out there to go noodling. You have to go
It's
noodling.
gonna be perfect.
But another really fun experience that you've had, you've traveled to Brazil on multiple occasions to do some coaching down there. Talk about what that experience is like and how you're changing in a whole different country culture, and how like the basketball game is a little bit could be different down there.
Yeah, it was really fun. So the first time I went with the Missouri Southern head coach Ronnie Russell, and he took me as his assistant, and so we went down there, and it was so fun. You go down there for 10 days. You only get to practice like once or twice together, right? And then you're
wow.
playing. And so, yeah.
goodness.
So like it's going, it's almost kind of like not pick up, but like you teach a couple plays, you teach a little bit of an offense, that kind of thing. But then not only was the basketball the cool part, was the people who we went with, they had everything planned. So they knew exactly where we were eating, when we were eating. When we would get there, the food was there and ready.
Wow.
Okay. Like we just walked in, like, and then they made sure we got to go see Sugarloaf Mountain. That's something up there that's like, it's a big tourist thing. We got to go see the Christ statue. We got to go to markets, downtown market, the night market. I mean, and they made sure you got the entire cultural experience. Some of the gyms that we played in it's for us, it'd be considered an outdoor gym. And so it's an open air gym is what it is. So they might have walls up to about 8-9 feet, and then it's open air until you get to the roof. And so you're basically playing outside.
Interesting.
Yes. And so, but it was really fun. It was a cool experience. And so then the next year, COVID happened. And so they had canceled the trip. And then the next year, they asked me if I'd go as the head coach. And so I said, absolutely, I will go. I mean, it was an amazing experience the first time, and to be able to go a second time, and actually that's when I was a coach at UCO, and actually took three of our girls
Oh, wow.
down there with me.
Okay.
And so they got to go down there and have them experience that. Was super fun. And then I got to invite, I had my coaching friend, Heidi Messer. She went with me as my assistant. And so it was just such a fun experience for everybody. And we actually we played in a couple of different gyms that time. And so just to see the difference and the different atmospheres is really fun. And it's one of those things like, because we had USA stuff on. And so like the kids seeing and wanting USA stuff and just thinking that, they're, big time players and everything, wanting pictures and stuff. They were basically celebrities down there. And so that was a fun experience for the girls and just to see Brazil.
Right.
Right. And then now I have a Brazilian on my team here at RSU. And so that's so fun to be able to tell her like what I experienced down there. And we talked about we talk about the food. So we talk about the food. Like one of her favorite things to eat is a chicken heart.
Oh.
Yes. And so it's like a...
Are they big? I would imagine they're pretty small.
No, they're like this big.
Okay.
And so, of course, I tried it because like that's a thing down there.
Right.
Right. And so I've tried the chicken heart. I tried one each time I went.
Sold? Not sold?
I mean, it's not something that like I just want.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad I tried it. I'm also a texture person.
Okay.
It's very rubbery.
So you're not a big chitlins?
No, thank you.
Wait, hold on.
No, thank you.
Don't.
I've been
don't
there when
slander the chitlins.
No, I've been there when they've been cooked too. So that also just ruined me.
I always skip that part.
You can't be there when they're cooked.
My dad handles that.
Yeah.
In his own space. Mm-hmm. Shout out Papa King and shout out Marty. For our international from Brazil. Great young lady. We love you, Marty.
Yeah. Minus the chicken hearts. No, just kidding.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd try the chicken. I feel like I'd have to.
You would have to.
I'd have to.
It wasn't bad. It's just a texture thing. Like,
what other unique foods did they have down there?
I'm trying to think of. She thinks their acai is better than ours because she says it's really fresh, like the acai bowls.
I'm not gonna lie. I've never had one of those.
Oh, they're good.
Okay.
But I didn't like them as much down there. But she says it's because they're more fresh down there, which I could probably say is true because I'm sure we put a lot more sugar and different stuff.
Duh.
Correct. That's why I like this ours
Diabetes.
better. Literally diabetes. The one thing I didn't, and this isn't food wise, but I'm a Dr. Pepper head.
Yes.
They don't have Dr. Pepper down there.
Okay. Oh.
They have Coke, Diet Coke, and Coke Zero.
That's it.
Yeah.
They don't have like any like the flavor, like no Fanta.
I don't know. I mean, their own like Brazil, like they have their own drinks.
Oh, okay.
Like they have this like lemonade that I really liked.
Ooh.
That was good.
I do like me some good lemonade.
Yeah.
Is it like fresh lemonade with like the pulp in it?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was like in a bottle, but
Okay.
it was very good.
Because we don't. Are you a pulp person?
I do. I like pulp.
You're a weirdo. Okay.
No.
Just really figuring out that Heather and I are not going to be friends because pulp is disgusting. We don't do taupe.
But no, they had and you know what else was kind of good? They had some like dessert pizzas. So like
with like fruit
with like chocolate.
Ooh.
And I mean it was there was some really good dessert pizzas down there too that I really liked.
Okay. Yeah. So we got to go to Brazil is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean I'm down.
So Dr. Radcliffe, if you could sponsor us for a trip for Heather and I to go, you'd be
we can
my
go.
guy.
We can call it a recruiting trip.
That's exactly what
We can go
we're
down there,
doing. Yes, recruiting. We
get
need
some
we need
Brazilians.
more Brazilians here to help out the team be better. Clearly, duh. Heather, it's just such an honor just to sit down and chit chat with you. It's been you kind of got here when I got here, so being able to find somebody that with a like mindset to who's going through kind of getting to know Claire more and the ins and outs is nice. So, but without further ado, I appreciate your time and hanging out with us today. But for another edition of Voices on the Hill, I'm your host, Corey King, and I'm here with Heather Davis, the women's head coach. Appreciate you and appreciate you guys for watching.
Thank you.